friends. I want to take a second to walk you through what your gifted lessons are for this week. I'm so sorry that I'm not going to be able to see you guys in person, but I have some really cool things planned for you guys that really are exactly like what you would be doing in our class. So you can find everything that you need in It's Learning if you go to the 5021 Gifted Resource class, and I would recommend just clicking on Plans to get that opened up. Okay, and it's called the school closure lessons. So if we're out more than 1 week, then it would look just like this, but it would have a different date on the end. Um, I want you guys to know that you should be working on your gifted stuff for the same amount of time that you would be in gifted. Now, obviously, you have a little bit more flexibility, so you could do more one day and a little bit less one day, but it should work out to be 45 minutes a day because that's what you get when you come to gifted. So for Monday and Tuesday, we're going to continue the cryptograms and learning about the Zimmerman telegram, which is exactly what we were doing before we left, but I promised that I would give you guys a little bit more time with this. So there are cryptograms linked here. I want you to choose 1 to 2. Obviously, you could do more. There are 6. Um, I know that most of you guys finished number 1, but I did put number 1 down here if you wanted to continue it. But there are different ones. So you can go all the way down to number 6. After that, you can see the tips that we talked about right here. Those are the things that I showed you guys up on the board. Definitely really helpful information for sure. And then I want you guys to be careful. I'm not going to click on this, but the answers are linked here. I would not open them because it's showing you all 6 answers at the same time. So I would say either like get a parent to open them, or a sibling or something like that, or go ahead and solve all the ones that you want to solve and then see which ones you were correct about. All right, after you've solved 2 or more cryptograms, I want you to look at the coded and encoded version and that background information on the Zimmerman telegram, because that's really why we are learning about this, is because of the significance of the Zimmerman telegram on World War I. So the background information, you can read about the code breakers and why this was important, and then you can see what the Zimmerman telegram actually said. Make my screen a little bit bigger. And then you can see what the actual code was. Now, it's not really possible for us to decode it because it was written in German. So if you speak German, feel free to decode. That would be pretty cool. All right, after you've learned about that, I want you to really think, do you think that the US should have declared war on Germany based solely on the Zimmerman telegram? And explain, do you think the US would have remained neutral if the telegram had never been received? So then you can record your answers on this Google Doc. I am confident that I changed the permissions to be correct and everything, but if there's something that you are clicking on that it's not letting you click, please send me a message through It's Learning. I don't really get the messages that are requested through Google because it goes to this like weird Gmail account. So if you send me a message on It's Learning, it pops up on my phone, I will see it and be able to answer you pretty quickly. All right, so you'll type your name here and you'll answer these 2 questions. The reason that I didn't do this like a Google form is I do want you guys to be able to see the answers, because if we were in class, we'd be having this conversation just kind of like casually in person. And so I want you guys to, you can kind of build on what other people say. You can say that you agree with someone and kind of add your own information to it. But really, this is at the heart of why we're doing this. So I really want you guys to think carefully about this. And I will be looking to make sure that everybody's answering and to kind of check the quality of your answers. And so I'll be reaching out to you if there's something that I need you to adjust. All right, so after you answer those questions, please make sure that you are not being silly, we're not adding emojis or having like side conversations with each other, just like we'd be doing in class, because this is going to be as similar to a regular awesome day in Gifted as we can make it. So then I want you to click the below links to explore artifacts about different types of code. So there's a website about the Choctaw Indians. I think it's really, really interesting. There's a short little video clip about this that you may watch, and then talking about trench codes. And so I don't have an activity for you to do after reading all of these things because I trust you guys and I think that it's really interesting information. The rest of the week for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and potentially longer, I'm going to look if we end up being out of school a little bit longer. I'm going to look and kind of see your progress. Um, I feel like in class this might take us more than 3 days. It just depends on how deep you guys end up going with this. So we're going to be learning about the causes of war and then creating a timeline based on a specific article that you'll read. So the topics of the articles are right here. You have 4 choices. You'll notice that some are a lot longer than others. It will actually be potentially a little easier if you choose an article that has a decent amount of information, because if you choose one that doesn't have a lot of information, then you're going to have to go find the details that it may or may not include. So you can kind of look through the articles. Each one's on a different page, and you'll see they're all kind of different lengths. Okay, so you've got 7 choices. And what you'll do to start after you choose yours and read, we're going to do something, it's called a visible thinking strategy. It's called same and different, to discuss a war from multiple perspectives. So kind of like when we do the 6 thinking hats and you guys are trying to think about one issue from multiple perspectives, it's similar to this. So for this recording sheet, you have to make a copy and save it to your Google Drive. So you'll click on it. You should not have to ask me for permission. If you try to type on it, it's not going to let you. So you go, I don't think it'll let you. Okay. Anyway, if you go to File, Make a Copy, I want you to add, instead of keeping where it says Make a Copy of, I want you to add your name. Okay. And then you can choose to save it somewhere where you can find it. I do also want you to share it with me. So you'll make this copy and then you'll make sure that I have access to it. If I see that I don't have it, then I will be at, oh boy. There we go. All right, so here's me. See my pretty little face. All right, and then send, and I'll be able to see your information. All right, so what you'll be doing is it's noticing, perspective taking, and similarities and differences. So you'll be writing about how often judgments are made at first glance. What judgments did you make when you first began learning about World War I? And this is probably going to be the judgments. Think back to when you were learning about this originally in your social studies class. If you're not sure, then think about when you heard that we were first going to be talking about that particular war. For perspective taking, what other points of view could the war be perceived? What would one say from each of these points of view? So obviously from the other side, you know, who we were fighting against potentially, you're gathering background information about this to be able to answer these questions through reading your articles. If you feel like your article that you're going to make your timeline on doesn't necessarily give you all this information, you can still skim the other articles to get more of a full understanding. All right, and then similarities and differences. So what are the similarities? What are the differences between things that are happening in your article? How can you learn, or how can some of what you learned about be the same and different? So the example that I came up with is that war can be both good and bad, right? Because we're protecting ourselves, we are standing up for ourselves, we're making sure that America remains kind of the dominant world power, but obviously there are really bad sides to war as well. All right, so you've got your visible thinking. Now we get into the big project, is creating a timeline. So you're going to include every major event that's mentioned in your article. Be sure to analyze each event and decide if it's major or minor. So kind of keeping in mind that major events typically have a longer lasting impact, so things that kind of lead into something else. But you're really going to have to think about this. Then I want you to create a Google Slides to make a timeline, with each slide being one major event. You're going to share that project with me on Google. Now, down here, if you see, you have some options. If you would like to work with a classmate, now this adds an additional layer of difficulty, but it might make it a little bit more engaging. So you can choose to collaborate online together. But like I say in class, if you're working together, the amount of information must reflect the effort of two people. Okay. And I can see who's editing what. So if you're working with someone and then I look and see that one of you is doing 90% of the typing, right? That's not going to work for me. But this is just like when we're working in class, and you guys are fabulous at this. So you'll use Google Slides. Each slide must have the date at the top and then details related to that event and a picture. If you need more information, like if you don't have a lot of stuff on your slide from your article, go and find it in the media and research tools. When all the groups are finished, I'm going to combine them all together into one large timeline so we can really start to see the causes of the war and all the things that were leading up to that. And then finally, timelines are scored with this rubric. So when we're all finished with this, maybe, here we go. All right, so how are you going to get full credit? You're including all important and interesting events. No major details are excluded. It contains at least 8 to 10 events related to the topic. I will count, the details are counted in that, okay? So details about the events. Facts are accurate and all events are reported. They're in the proper order because you're going to have each slide for a different event. So for each article, it's not just going to be one slide. You have an accurate, complete date that's included. They're clearly described using accurate and vivid language, and I don't want you copying directly from the article. You're putting this into your own words. How would you explain this event to someone using your own words? And then obviously grammar, this part not checked by another student unless you're working with someone. You could also share your project with someone and have them check it over, but you want to make sure that your mechanics are correct. If you finish your timeline and you feel like you're done, even though I can see your progress, I don't necessarily know when you're done. So shoot me a message on It's Learning and let me know. One other note about the messages that are here, we are not going to be doing any silly conversations back and forth. This is really an important tool now more than ever. Okay, so it would be really difficult if Miss Vi had to disable your comments. So let's please not make it come to that. I know that you guys are going to do some really, really great work. I cannot wait to see your smiling faces. I'm available pretty much anytime you need me. So send me a message on It's Learning. You can send me an email, not to my Gmail, but to the cbates@forsyth.k12.ga.us. But I think It's Learning would probably be the easiest. So I miss you guys. I can't wait to see you. Try and have fun with this project. Try and enjoy yourselves, and I will see you soon.